Alrighty, so this section is 6.1 for our Apex ATS. So this section is all about our exponents, our laws of exponents. The first thing we need to know is that when you have two numbers, so you have x times x to the third, what you do with these exponents is you add them together. So that would be x to the fifth. Doesn't matter what the base is. So don't worry about the 5s and don't multiply the 5s. What you're going to do is, I see multiplication, you just add the exponents. So 5 to 3 plus 4, that would be 5 to the 7th. So when you see multiplication, just think it goes to addition. When you see something that is to a negative exponent, what happens is it flips to the bottom of a fraction and becomes positive. So for instance here, we have 3 to the negative fifth. I'm going to put a 1 on top, bring down my 3 to the fifth. When you have something raised to an exponent, so x, if I can write, x, a to the b, what's happening here is you would multiply a and b. So I'm going to do 4 to the 3 and multiply the 3 times the 5. So this would become 4 to the 15th. When you have a situation like number 4 here, what you're doing is that 9 goes to both of them, basically. So this could be rewritten as distribution. That's what's happening. That's the word I'm looking for. So that would be 5 to the 9 times 4 to the 9. And we can leave it like that. If we wanted to, we could do that multiplication, but that's going to give us a very large number. Same thing happens when you have division. Okay, that 6 goes to both. It gets distributed to both pieces. So this would be rewritten as 2 to the 6 over 7 to the 6. Again, you could do 2 to the 6 in a calculator. We just don't need a ridiculous number right now. And then when we talk about evaluating, evaluating means to calculate. When you see something to a 1/2 power, that's the same as saying the square root of. Okay? It's the same thing if this was 81 to the 1/3 power, it'd be the cubed root of something. So it always breaks down that way. And 81, thankfully, is really nice. The square root of 81 is, in fact, 9. Okay? Other things we can do, when we have two numbers being multiplied together in a square root, we can actually break them up. So I could do the square root of 64 times the square root of 121. That way it's two separate problems. It's a little bit easier to manage. I know that the square root of 64, I could put in a calculator, or it's 8 times 8 times the square root of 121. That would be 11. So my answer here is 88. This one wants me to rewrite it as an exponent, which I already kind of showed here. A cubed root is the same thing as saying to a 3rd power. Again, that works for anything. I could have 81 to the 4th. If you rewrote it as a square root, you would just put the 4 in the root. So that's how they relate to each other. This wants me to evaluate. We've already talked about if I do something to a 1/2 power, that's the same as doing the square root. We've also talked about if you do it to the top, you do it to the bottom, it gets distributed. So I could rewrite this as a square root of 9 over the square root of 4. This says to evaluate, so we are going to simplify that down. The square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 4 is 2. And my last one, this is really fun. What's happening here is I have 4 to the 3 times 1/3. Well, 3 times 1/3 would cancel, and I would end up with just 4. So if you raise something to a third and you divide it by a third, they cancel each other out. So those are some of our rules about exponents. If you have any questions, let me know.